We got an over under at 37.5. This is a very tricky game because a lot of people will look at it and say to themselves that is it truly a game that the Falcons can dominate and all that good stuff? When have the Falcons dominated anybody this year other than a lowly Carolina Panthers team? And really, they didn't dominate the Panthers. The Panthers just made mistakes in the fourth quarter and just had an inept offense that day. We know that the Falcons are just like the Chargers. They're going to play in games that are going to be close most of the time. You know what I mean? Especially when they're at home. But when they really get, exposed, they get absolutely crushed. I'm looking at their games. I say, okay, you look at the first 2 weeks of the season, they had 2 home games. Everything is better for the Falcons at home. That's just what it is. And so the Falcons getting 4.5 points, that's not surprising at all. We know the Vikings are in a situation where they don't know who the quarterback is going to be. But this is what I'm going to do here because I don't trust the Falcons, Jeff, at all. I just don't. I think that the Falcons are a good team, but I don't trust them in a spot like this because you're asking them to be a great team, and they're just a good team. And good teams have a little bit of issue sometimes dominating teams that are supposed to be inferior to them coming into a game like this when they're down a position. I truly do feel that there's a reason why we have backup quarterbacks. They're supposed to know the playbook. They get reps in practice as well, too. So what I'm going to do here, so I don't have to sit on this game too long, because this is an under-the-radar game that's really not relevant to what's really going on in the NFL, even though you do have a Falcons team that is chasing the NFC South title. They're wide open in that position. But let's face it, Jeff, they're not going to be really in the say-so of this if they don't win divisional games. And I think they're going to have a real issue with that. But let's stick to this game right here. The Vikings are a team that guys are playing for their positions. And I truly feel that why don't we just go ahead and play the game real quick? They got a guy who's been there all year long. He won the backup job. It wasn't like he was just there and they're just stuck with him as the back. You have to win these jobs, Jeff. That's what people don't understand is that, yeah, it's a backup, but, you guys don't give the backup enough credit. He's in the NFL for a reason. So I'm going to be that guy at Santa Anita on the first race with some 2-year-old fillies and say to myself, with some 2-year-old colts, and say to myself, let's spin a new kid on the block. You know what I mean? The maiden special weight races where you go with the kid that's just been getting workouts in the morning. He ain't had no game yet. So why don't we go ahead and take the first timer to go ahead and get us to cover plus 4.5 here. Darren Hall, get us home.
The resurgent Minnesota Vikings versus the what do we have in Atlanta? I mean, coach had seen enough of Ritter, brings in Heineke. Bijan finally scores again. I have to go and trust like we did on the Kansas City-Miami game. I got to go with it here as well. My true number was Falcons -3 with a 38. It's up to 5 now at a 37 or a 37.5. I don't know if it's going to be Ritter or Heineke, obviously on the Atlanta side, but is it Hall? We have 2 hours and 20 minutes till the deadline's over. There's a lot of talk that Minnesota's trying to get Jameis Winston as their quarterback from the Saints here to take them to the promised land. There'll be no Fran Tarkenton, no Dante Culpepper, whatever you want back there. Jordan Addison has really emerged as a great rookie wide receiver. They still got Madison. It looks like Cam Akers kind of pushing Madison now over there. A defense that's not playing that well. I like Atlanta. I like Atlanta at home. And I actually think their defense will cause fits to whoever's QB in there. We bought the hook. We took Atlanta to -4 here with the 37. I think the final score here is more in that 24-14, somewhere like that. I think Minnesota's going to have a hard time scoring here, Pops. I like the Falcons in the spot.
Good choice. And you know what? Funny thing is, we talk about Minnesota quarterback issues. Who they bringing? Jameis Winston was a guy that they had on the radar, but guess what? You got to settle for Josh Dobbs. It's just been confirmed. Breaking news: Josh Dobbs has just been traded to the Minnesota Vikings because they are in the transition of handing the team back over to Kyler Murray. I'm hearing right now that they're getting Kyler Murray ramped up this week to become to take back his starting spot this week. They were saying Clayton Tune, but Kyler Murray is actually the priority this week, and if he's ready to go, he'll be playing on Sunday from what I'm hearing.
Not a good spot for them, obviously, traveling to Cleveland, and we'll get to that game. And it was funny because the Dobbs news came yesterday where it was going to be Tune or Murray, and I was like, what's going on with Dobbs? Hats off to Arizona, picking him up, getting him ready for week 1, and he did a hell of a job. And now Minnesota is like, all right, fine. I mean, I can't expect him to pick up the playbook for this game, but he did do it in week 1 for Arizona. So it actually helps me in some fantasy spots because I do have Dobbs in a few spots. So thank goodness for that. And hey, you know, it helps Addison. It helps KJ Osborne. It might actually even speed up the process for Justin Jefferson. So hats off.
Yep, it looks good to me. So let's go ahead and move forward, but I still want to see the rookie play on Sunday. I think that you just don't throw a guy right in there Sunday and say, okay, yeah, you know, you bring him in as emergency situation. Let the other guy get an opportunity because he knows the playbook. Don't force the situation if you don't have to. He has a rapport with the receivers already, and when you got receivers like he does, Osborne, Jefferson and Addison, let him get a shot. Just let him get a shot. You don't just throw somebody new into the mix because they did okay in another spot. You know what I mean? But we got to move forward because we got to get to our first commercial. And we move forward to this right here. The Commanders 3-5, the Pats 2-6, -3 spread to the Pats. Also, you have an over under of 40. Commanders coming into this game, and let's keep it real.